Hey, welcome back to more Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I always fucking do this. Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Specifically Adventures.
Chronicles 8 Grace.
Grace Attorney.
Yes.
He's beauty, he's grace.
He'll point in your face.
What the fuck? Okay, yes. I remember now. I have considered the defense counsel's request for further submission examination of the jury, and I have determined that the court must uphold the defense's judicial right to this procedure. So, counsel, you will now proceed with your second submission examination. I presume the jury is ready, Mr. Foreman.
We are, my lord.
Very good. In that case, I must ask that each of you now to state clearly and concisely for the court the grounds on which you find the defendant guilty of this crime.
Alright.
Seems like a good idea at the time. Accused left behind evidence at the scene, didn't he? Those 3 books of his.
There's some novel alternative. If there's some novel alternative explanation about how this victim was stabbed, I might reconsider.
Even if the woman was throwing books, it can't be related to the crime if the window's closed, can it?
Believe me, it was only a little book, hardly life-threatening, even with a direct hit.
Look, I just want to get this over with. If I don't bring home some pay tonight, I'll be in a tidy bit of trouble. Can't fucking talk today.
Come to think of it, we had a fire at home a while ago. It gave me the sneezes.
Yes. Considerably more tangible arguments from all members of the jury this time around, it seems.
Yes, sneezes.
With one notable exception, of course.
Thank you. My learned student friend was unable to find fault in the previous witness testimony. The court must accept the fact that it was indeed the accused seen fleeing from the scene. And moreover, no one else was even at the scene to commit the crime.
Well, if the eyewitnesses are correct, it would seem as if the conclusion is somewhat set in stone. I fail to see how it can be argued any other way.
That means, I'm afraid, that during this summation examination, it's essential that you establish some other tangible explanation for the facts.
How? What would even constitute a tangible explanation here? Isn't it obvious? Who stabbed the woman and how? Those 2 details are all you need to provide. Simply give us a name and a method by which the attack was conducted. I was thinking this might be hard.
But Mr. Naruhodo, you have to do it. Otherwise, this really will be where the trial ends.
No pressure, then. I can feel the pressure.
That's quite enough preamble. Proceed with the submission examination, please. I presume you are prepared, counsel.
Oh, yes, Lord. All right, Junosuke, focus your mind now. Clearly, the key to this summation examination is going to be juror number 4, the maid, or should I say Mrs. Garrideb.
We have a book that disappeared from the Garrideb's house on the evening of that incident, and the 4th book found in the victim's hand.
Must be a way to link the 2. Yes, that's what we have to find.
Didn't we already prove it's the same book?
Using every technique I've learned in my short career so far, whatever it takes.
We conjectured that it was, but they said basically that the window was closed, so
It's
it couldn't
totally
have been.
the same book, though. Like, they can't
yeah.
I don't think they can really deny that. They can deny that it flew out the window. But, like, there's absolutely no shot that it isn't the book from the scene. Like, come on.
Man.
Don't forget to keep an eye on Mrs. Garrideb and how she reacts, even to the things other people say.
These games have had stupider logic.
Yeah. It's true.
So hang on, are we gonna have to press and then watch for her reaction? Like,
Can you
maybe?
even do that in these scenes?
I guess so. I have a feeling we need to press this guy. Oh, I did not mean to go to the end, but I guess we can get a hint. We need to demonstrate who, apart from Mr. Natsume, could have attacked the young woman on the street, as well as how he or she could have done it.
Yes, but once again, the jurors' statements are full of personal prejudice. A lot of them seem convinced they're right, even in the face of logical arguments to the contrary.
I think you're going to need to pit them against each other to force them to accept an alternative explanation.
Yes. You don't necessarily need to find contradictions between their assertions. Just a connection might do the trick. Right, I'll see what I can do. If anything stands out, I'll go in for a strike.
That's the spirit.
Just like bowling.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna try to press number 6. I have a good feeling about that one because he's talking about, like, the fire. Like, maybe that'll prompt something from her.
Does that have anything to do with your decision about the defendant's culpability in this case?
Oh, we totally can.
Oh, I never noticed before. Sorry, what's that? You'll have to speak up, lad. I don't remember what his voice was.
Yeah, something like that.
There'll be an icon on her thing.
I know, I was just... Let me have this.
Fine. Tell us more about that fire. It was last winter. My grandchildren baked me a lovely cake on my birthday. 75 candles on the top it did. What a sight to behold it was. Put candles on a cake? Was this some kind of devil worship?
For a second, I'm like, what are you talking about? I realized I guess that's a Western tradition, yeah.
Of course not. It was an angel cake. To celebrate my birthday, obviously.
It seems that's a common custom here in Great Britain, Mr. Naruhodo.
No, yeah, I mustered all my puff to blow them out. I must have blown wrong somehow. The flames didn't go out, but the candles went flying all over the room. Ninja caught and everything went up. The whole place filled with smoke.
How is she not reacting yet?
Definitely sounds like devil worship to me. And by the sneezes, I presume you mean a cold. How did you catch a cold from a fire? What a fiasco it was. The grandchildren, bless them, threw water over me as they tried to put out the flames. And because the whole room had filled up with smoke, of course.
On the next statement, she will go, "Oh!"
He did not. I had to open all the windows to clear it.
On the next statement, she will go, "Oh!" Come on.
The windows. This is your cue. Mighty winter air rushed over me like the devil dancing on my grave, it did. It's devil worship. I caught a terrible cold from it. Put me in hospital for a while. I won't forget that birthday in a hurry.
So are you or are you not a devil worshipper? What were you doing at the devil's sacrament?
He was devil worship all along.
God damn it.
Something about this old man's story is playing in my mind for some reason.
Yeah, we saw this.
Okay.
It's gonna be like we have to press her first and then him or something.
I hope not.
Remember, when lost,
Okay.
press every statement in order twice.
Objection.
You're saying the window is closed and...
These two
Bro!
clearly contradict each other.
Don't point at me again, I told you it wasn't me.
What's that you say? Speak up, lad, speak up. Juror number 3, do you see?
Oh, me? See what, sir? Okay.
Did you hear juror number 6's account of his birthday celebrations last year? It seems, despite being a Londoner, he once opened his windows in the middle of winter. That was the logic.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. We're saying there was a fire in both cases, so there's
I
a
mean,
reason
that
to
makes
do
sense,
it.
but like specifically the opening the window in the middle of winter.
Well, yeah, they're saying there is absolutely no way the window would have been open. It was winter,
Yeah,
so
and
they would
it
need a
was
very
super
strong reason to
cold
open it. And we're like, here's a strong reaon. Well, yes, of course,
There
because
was
it was
a
an
fire.
emergency. I mean, obviously, if the room was filled with smoke from a fire, you'd be mad not to open the... Oh!
Exactly, you dipshit. Contained question, at the time of the incident, there was a fire in the Garrideb household. See, Garrideb had the following to say about it. Whole place filled with smoke.
Oh, my hat!
Excuse me. Juror number 4. Do you have something to say about that? That?
Good animation.
Yeah,
Mrs. Garrideb.
Oh, dearie me. What is the meat? What is the... fuck. What is the meat?
What's the matter?
You should drink tea to get in character.
What is the meaning of this? Dare you imply that I'm hiding who I really am?
I can think of something else he could do that could get him into character easier.
Shut the fuck up. I will fucking fly to Britain and kick you in the nuts myself.
Wow.
It's imperative that you confirm something for the court. Please, it's time to drop the pretense now. Drop?
What is it?
Hop kick. When the fire started in your house that day, did you or your husband open the window?
What? I beg your pardon? What are you insinuating?
The room would have been thick with smoke after the carpet and bookcase caught fire as they did. In a situation like that, it's inconceivable that you wouldn't have opened the window. This is something we need to prove in the first place.
And what if we did? Oh, all right then. Yes, you're right. My husband was frantically trying to open the window. Which can't have been easy since I continued to give him a justly deserved book battering.
Even though your house was on fire.
Oh, you never stop throwing until the anger subsides. It would be terribly bad for the nurse to do otherwise.
Of course, I should have realized.
That's a significant step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. You've managed to establish that the window was open. We simply must have that added to Mrs. Garrideb's formal statement.
Maybe I should try being a therapist instead.
Let's see, the window could have been open when the woman was throwing books. I mean, it's definitely a possibility.
I guess those two.
They said it doesn't need just a connection is fine.
Yeah.
So
not really objection, but objection. I'm sorry, but as foreman of the jury, I blah 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 blah.
Never mind.
I'm a
Are
banker.
you fucking kidding me? The game just established that we can make a connection. And we have two people right next to each other, where one's going, the window could have been open, and the other one's like, the window was open. Are you fucking joking? What the hell is this design?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'll press.
The fourth book found at the scene of the crime shows very obvious signs of fire damage. The title of the book is The Lion's Pride. Same title, in fact, as the book that Mr. Garrideb told us he had been reading.
Oh. Well, I really couldn't say.
On the day in question, did you or did you not throw at your husband a copy of The Lion's Pride that he had been reading? No, it was a different one. He had two.
I did.
Fuck you.
It was the first thing I could lay my hands on, so I hurled it straight at him. And now you come to mention it, yes. He was rather enjoying reading it, you're right.
Why did you not reveal this information to the court from the outset?
Because I couldn't, you insolent little man. I didn't remember. At times like that, you pick up and throw whatever you can lay your hands on, as well you know.
I really don't.
Oh boy. Barely noticed I was throwing a book, much less the title of it.
Yes.
What's he have to say?
Good pose. Is it juror number 5?
You know something? I've remembered what it was. That memory I'd blocked out.
Ah.
It was listening to what this granny was saying. Brought it all flooding back.
You calling a granny, you cheeky devil. I'm Mrs. Garrideb, or the maid, I'll have you know.
Everyone's a devil worshipper now. The man doesn't even flinch. Please tell me that's not because he's so used to being hit all the time.
It was about 2 weeks ago now. I just got back home after work, like. I put my hand in my pocket for the wages I'd just earned that day, and I nearly died. There was a hole. Every last penny had dropped out.
Oh dear, what a disaster.
You haven't heard the half of it, boy.
Oh?
The wife was cutting up some chicken at the time. I could hardly get the words out, but I told her straight, I've lost the day's wages, love. Next thing I knew, the blade was whistling past my ear. Stuck into the wall next to me, it did, about an inch deep.
No words, just error.
I could smell it then, you know. That god-awful stench of the Thames. I was sure I was going to end up face down in the muddy banks that night, I can tell you. Now, that's a real disaster, isn't it?
Never use that word lightly again.
Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is this. When women lose their rag, they'll throw anything at you. Knives, hatchets, hammers, you name it. Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't think that all women are so short-tempered and unrefined.
No, I wasn't thinking that.
Throwing household objects at people is... well, it's so uncivilized. At least attack with honor, using a bow or the like.
What? Attack? Who are you going to attack?
Never mind. Anyway, this man's words could be rather significant, I think.
Right, we'll come back to the bow and arrow thing later. I dare.
Susato really just said hashtag not all women. Okay, here we go. So some novel alternative explanation for how the victim was stabbed I might reconsider. A woman in a rage will throw almost anything at you. The kitchen knife really brought that home to me.
I suppose.
I suppose. Hey.
Those two statements clearly have a deeply significant connection.
Good grief. I mean, they don't contradict each other. Explain, Counsel, at once.
Juror number 2. Do you think perhaps this could be one such novel alternative?
Oh my, whatever do you mean?
Alternative explanation as to how the victim was stabbed in the back.
What are you talking about?
Stream is lagging. We've demonstrated that the 4th book, The Lion's Pride, that was found at the scene of the crime, originated in Mr. Garrideb's room on the top floor of his house. Therefore, it's equally possible that some other object besides the book could have found its way from the Garrideb household to the street below.
Eh? What's that now?
After all, Mrs. Garrideb could have thrown any number of different objects at her husband. Isn't that right, juror number 4?
Are you insinuating now, you little beanpole?
Beginning to think that, since the true origins of this book came to light, perhaps she's had a feeling this might be what happened. You listen here, you Eastern Gala!
No
The
idea
forward
what
of
that
this
means.
jury, I demand a straight answer! Give us this yarn about some other object making its way out of the house, but what? What was it?
Isn't it obvious?
I'm really taking a big gamble here. A bold accusation to make. I haven't any real evidence to back it up. I'm certain that at the very least this warrants further investigation. Alright, Mr. Foreman, I'll try to explain the defense's theory. It's a game theory. What object that found its way from the Garrideb household at the scene of the crime was...
Ben, you looked up the definition?
Yeah, gala, noun, a small Australian cockatoo with a gray back and rosy pink head and underparts.
I see.
Abundant and regarded as a pest.
Okay, that's the second time they've made a connection between that dude and Australia. I wonder if maybe we should have given him an Australian accent, but a bit late for that.
Yeah.
Juror number 4. Mrs. Garrideb.
What? What now?
I must apologize in advance for this. I need you to confirm something else for the court. This knife. Have you ever seen this knife before?
Good Lord, Counsel, what on earth are you doing? That's the weapon that was launched into the victim's back, man!
It'll be funny, trust me. My lord, remember that when the victim was attacked, Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb were in the throes of an argument. Mrs. Garrideb was hurling anything she could at her husband, who had been backed up against the window. A window that had been opened to clear the smoke, and through which a book sailed to land at the crime scene. Did I change the voice? I don't know if I can do an Australian accent. You can't seriously believe that. The book was found in the victim's grasp.
Are you saying that it flew out the window and across the street to land neatly in her hand? Huh? Even my mistress hasn't got a name like that.
Yes, I admit, there are many details we don't yet understand. That's the point. That's precisely why. We must not allow this trial to end. Not right now.
Ma.
Mrs. Garrideb, your answer, please. Have you seen this knife before or not?
Oh, Cool. My lord, I wish to change my decision. I'm a woman of my word, after all.
Thank you, madam. Yes, I agree. I certainly didn't see this coming, but I just don't think it would be right for this trial to come to an end now with so many unanswered questions. Mr. Foreman.
I'd have to agree. Not that I think the granny did it, mind. Yes, you know what? I'm not quite happy about this at the moment either.
All together now, ladies and gents. Together now.
Ah!
He did it.
Oh, congratulations, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, as a result of the defense's submission examination, a number of jurors' leanings have changed. 2 jurors called guilty against 4 now calling innocent. Accordingly, the opinion of this court is divided, and this trial will continue.
So they're just leaving Mrs. Garrideb on the floor?
Yep. She's dead now, it's fine.
Oh, well, case closed. Because she probably didn't. I don't know. I don't actually think she did it.
Now then, Lord Van Zeeks, how does the prosecution wish to proceed?
With murder.
It's gonna pick it up, swish it around, and then break it.
This trial is rapidly descending into a farce. Zip.
And then break. Nope.
Like a corked wine. First few sips are bitter enough.
Or that works too.
Mash. What follows is so repugnant, it's good for nothing save the gutter. If I may, Lord Van Zeeks. Vince has just put forward a credible alternative explanation for what happened. Credible? Is that your considered opinion, Mr. Foreman? Defense's argument is a joke to which I barely know how to respond. Let me start by insisting. You must all familiarize yourselves better with the relative positions of those places being discussed. What do you mean by that? What's his angle this time? Angles? It should already be more than apparent that between the crime scene and the Garrideb household, there's a rather wide street, Briar Road. Which means that the distance from the Garrideb's house to the scene is some, yes, 15 yards.
Let me see. 15 yards. That's around 14 meters.
14 meters? Oh, that's a little farther than I'd imagined. You there? And as you ladies and gentlemen of the jury rightly noted as having portentous significance, fourth book was found in the victim's clutches.
So I don't know this for sure, but I feel like it's pretty obvious that, like, the book flew out. She sees a book flying out of a fucking window and is like, what the hell? And goes over and picks up the book, and while she's leaning down, the thing flies into her bag. Like, I don't think this is that complicated.
Yeah. Although the 15 yards does complicate it a little.
In other words, the smouldering book, though wantonly hurled by the lady of the house, traveled some 15 yards to land on the opposite side of the road, neatly between the collapsed victim's fingers and thumb.
It didn't land in her fucking hand!
No, it definitely did. Is that your final conclusion, my learned, deluded friend? Did the jackknife follow a near identical trajectory to plunge into the middle of the victim's back? Fantasy, somewhat stretching the notion of having a bad day for the victim, I think. Even those pathetic serialized detective stories have more believable plots. Ah! Nothing I can say to that.
That prosecutor loves the sound of his own voice.
Mr. Sato.
Serialized detective stories are pathetic, are they? How dare he?
Maybe let's pick our battles here. You know, Ephraim.
My lord, might I be allowed to speak? What do you mean? What, Ephraim?
Because he only picks battles he can win.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. My lord, might I be allowed to speak?
As judicial assistant, you may speak for the defense, yes. Go ahead.
The prosecution may consider the idea a fantasy, but what the defense has postulated was believable enough to persuade the jury to change its leaning. And as such, the court has a duty to explore this alternative explanation as thoroughly as possible. To that end, Juror number 4, Mrs. Joan Garrideb, must be called to testify and submit to cross-examination.
It's alive! A cross-examination of a juror!
Hello, she got up.
Order! 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 Well, this is highly irregular. It's unprecedented for a member of the jury to be summoned to the witness stand.
I will never not be great. And unnecessary.
Lord Van Zeeks.
There are already witnesses in the stand whose testimony the defense may further cross-examine. My learned friend's farcical theory has any truth in it. Both a burning book and a jackknife must have flown through the sky before this couple's eyes. We must assume they would be able to testify accordingly.
What say you, witnesses?
Yes, sir! Constable Rowley being reported for duty, sir!
Well. Okay.
Good morning, officer. For dozing until now, sir? Except for a month on account of a villain who's appeared on my beat, sir. Seat.
Oh, they're so heroic, these London bobbies.
Trisha, my darling, I've been neglecting you, but no more.
Oh, you're my hero. You make me swoon. Very well. I hereby reject the defense's request.
Oh.
And order the witnesses on the stand to testify again. State forthwith before the court any details pertaining to the defense's alternative explanation of events.
Yes, sir! This case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb. Believe me, a London Bobby is good for his word. See, sir, the windows on the top floor of the Garrideb household are top-hinged casements.
Obviously, if anything had been thrown out of the window, we would have seen it. I did leave the scene to go and fetch help, but my trusty Rolly was there to make sure nothing was disturbed.
I didn't take my eyes off the crime scene for one moment, sir. Nothing strange to report on that front, sir.
Well, this is quite startling. Top-hinged casement windows.
That detail was not in the police report, Constable. Hello? Yes, sorry about that. I must have been a little drowsy. You cannot excuse your sins with drowsiness every time, Constable. No, sir! Sorry, but... exactly as a top-hinged casement window. And you... you cannot excuse your ignorance with such trite remarks, my learned friend. Of course. Sorry.
I found it, Mr. Naruhodo. For some reason, my fucking book has information about different window types in Great Britain. Cast your mind back to the windows in Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb's room.
Right, I'll try. It's Darwin's book. Whenever information is needed, a page appears.
Mm-hmm.
Oh?
So the window opens in order to allow air to circulate inside the house. But as it's a top-hinged casement window, it swings open along the upper edge, you see. I don't see how that makes it... Okay.
I mean... Because these are my guess, the argument is they're pretty high windows. Like, throwing something out the top of the window would, like, be very difficult. If you're aiming at the guy who was up against the bottom part of the window.
It's also because, like, you can't just drop a book down. It has to, like, fly out in an arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
that
guess,
too.
I'm glad you've rectified your ignorance. A casement window's most prominent feature.
Maybe the body was moved then.
Is its stay, a metal bar which prevents the window from being opened beyond a certain amount. It prevents it opening. This is all news to me. Absolutely correct, sir. In other words, if a book or knife were to have been thrown through the window, through the open window.
Ooh, I have an idea.
What?
He mentioned... Do we have the map? He mentioned that, it took place on... outside of his beat, and so he had to go report it to a different, officer. But what if the different sides of this wide-ass street count as different beats? And so if it was on the closer side, nearer the window... So it did happen. I'm guessing it happened near the window, like directly beneath it. She threw the book. Miss Garrideb threw the book, hit the window, and fell directly down. Not at an angle. Fell directly down.
Mm-hmm.
Olive Green comes up and picks up the book. Knife also hits the window. Ping flies down with gravity and lands in her back as she's kneeling down. Then Rolly Beat comes along and is like, "Oh fuck, I don't have the energy to deal with this." And moves it to the other side of the street, so it's a different policeman's responsibility. That's what I'm guessing happened.
Oh.
To add to your theory, what if she actually wasn't stabbed, but he stabbed her so that she wouldn't have to deal with anything? Guess that was...
Sorry,
I didn't say that.
oh my god! Game!
I think you turned on autoplay.
No, I didn't. I just... that was a short-ass message, so it just progressed it. Now I press the A button.
It would have clattered against the pane and fallen straight down to the pavement below. No. See the problem, then. Good. Your education in Windows is complete. Next we go with Mac. There's never any possibility of either the book or the knife traveling 15 yards over the road. The hedge. That is, unless the window pane had been shattered. Something we've discounted already.
I should say, I do remember hearing something about this guy's beat being relevant, like which area he was patrolling, so...
Okay.
I might have... I
Better
might...
be with it being his fucking last name.
Yeah. The whole thing wasn't... I haven't read the whole plot of this to know that. This is still a guess, but I might be going off of some, like, deep memory here.
I can't be.
You see that, Rolly? That young Japanese man just collapsed in agony.
It makes me happy. Oh yes, my darling, I saw it. I saw how he crumbled before me.
Oh, Rolly, you're so strong.
How is this happening? I haven't even started the cross-examination yet, and already my argument's been destroyed.
It was destroyed.
Also, if you could drag yourself upright again, the court awaits your cross-examination.
I don't think I can. I did. My lord. Good. Another desperate situation.
Rectangles, 3 dots.
You saw that now?
Yes.
I'm gonna pursue these last 2 statements based on as per my theory.
Yeah.
Yes, you said that you went to a nearby police box to fetch another officer. Is that right?
That's right, yes. If it had been Rolly's beat, I would have known exactly where I was going, of course.
Feel bad, my love? You can't be expected to know the location of every police box on every beat.
So Rolly told me the way, only I sort of got a little lost on the way.
Trisha, my darling, that's why I love you. Your terrible sense of direction is bewitching to me.
She's pants with directions.
Oh, pet.
Oh, Rolly. God.
Oh, please.
So, I suppose I was gone for about 15 minutes. But like I said, my Rolly was at the scene the whole time, make sure nothing was disturbed.
Was off duty at the time, of course, but... True Bobby is never really off duty, sir!
Okay. That's a slight problem. He was off duty at the time.
Yeah, but it still would have been, like, his responsibility or something, I think. I don't know.
Nothing to report. You some kind of gatekeeper. That's correct, sir. I had my eyes wide open the entire time. Never looked away for a second. One else approached the scene, and nothing was removed from it.
Is that true?
I can swear to that, and the yard's honor, sir.
Yeah, I don't think anything was removed or anything. I think he moved the body though.
Really, that seems a little strange. Pardon, sir? Strange, sir? Seems altogether regular to me. This burned copy of the Lion's Pride was originally in the Garrideb household. The question remains, how did it find its way into the hand of the victim? Can you shed any light on that, seeing as you were at the scene of the crime the entire time? Aha! Could be a different copy, sir. One that just happened to be burned as well. Even if that were possible, why would the victim have been gripping a book like that in her hand? As we can see from this photographic print, she had a bag over her shoulder. Well, sir, the book was in the lady's hand from the moment we arrived at the scene. Is that so? Something about this statement that's not sitting right with me. Two mysteries of how that knife ended up in her bag, and the book ended up in her hand. There must be some common thread between them.
I'm so sorry, Mr. Naruhodo. I had no right to speak out.
What do you mean?
I requested the cross-examination of Mrs. Garrideb without consulting you, even if the judge did deny me.
Oh, I see. Oh, I agree with you. You need testimony from Mrs. Garrideb. If we're ever going to get the truth of this matter.
Do you really think so?
Well, since you said it first, I have to assume it's true. Think about it. No matter how far it is across the road or how that window opens. Mrs. Garrideb's book found its way to the scene of the crime somehow, didn't it?
You're right.
And then there was Mrs. Garrideb's reaction to me showing her the knife. Woman's hiding something, I'm sure of it.
You're right again.
Need to use this cross-examination to uncover more clues. We'll get to the bottom of this one way or another, I swear.
Yes.
Let's take a look at more clues.
Okay. Let's see.
Where's all the blood?
Hmm.
I guess it could have been inside the code.
I feel like there wouldn't have been enough blood to like leak everywhere. I think it would have been contained by her coat.
Hmm.
Although, wouldn't there have been some on the knife at least?
Oh, hang on, the tip is broken. That's probably going to become relevant soon. We noticed that before, but it hasn't come up yet.
Yeah. That's the tip.
Yeah.
I read this.
I think when we looked at it, it actually did update it in the thing. No, it didn't.
You say, sir?
That's next.
But according to my notes here, the sun had gone down already and it was dark.
Oh, shit. Well, Butteroli and I were strolling along, gazing at the night sky and looking for our lucky star.
My sensazioni bonite cosa caccio, rapingo.
I was gonna do the same thing.
God.
Capace? Yachacha?
Sorry.
So talk ya and this go. I say, fu no, tarimani darin free. Okay, so.
Sorry.
The star that will guide us to eternal happiness.
The lodestar. Can I guide you to answer the question? The flaming book had cut across the sky in front of us. Lit up like a shooting star.
And if I'd seen a shooting star, I would have made a wish upon it.
Put FF14 down, Ben.
I was reading other stuff. It's not fucking FF14.
Okay.
That's really being an inspector, I would have said. 3 times at least.
Of course, what with the smoke and everything, we couldn't actually see any stars. In short, are you trying to say that neither a book nor a knife crossed the sky before you? Yes, sir. That is correct, sir. It sure is a night sky alone and starless, sir. It certainly seems like they're telling the truth.
And then we saw the poor woman fall to the ground, so we ran straight over to help her.
Hang on.
If they saw the moment she fell...
Yeah, I don't believe they did. I was gonna say something like, wouldn't they notice that there was a fire in the upper building, but maybe not. Tricky. Oops. That seems like kind of a fluff statement. Let's try this one again.
By which you mean they don't open fully. Is that correct? Sir! Just there to allow a bit of air through the house, you see? So they're restricted to as to how much they open. And therefore anything thrown out of the window from inside the room. Simply strike the pane and fall to the street directly below. Clarity, allow me to mark the map. Here is the location where objects would have fallen.
Yes, directly opposite to the scene of the crime, on the other side of the rather wide road.
It would have been so hard for somebody to mention this top-hinged casement thing before. Well, I have another question for you, Constable. What would that be, sir? How do you even know? Would you have any idea what sort of windows Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb's house is furnished with? Well, sir, it's very simple.
I pass by that house all the time. It's on my beat.
See, I helped with the investigation yesterday.
Yes? Can I help you?
You just look at like a soundboard with that laugh.
Good.
Yes, nothing to add, Mrs. Beat.
I'm sorry.
You look, well, delighted. Is there some particular reason for that?
Oh, I was just remembering, that's all. We really were so lucky.
The knife didn't hit them? Lucky? What do you mean?
Lucky that it wasn't on his beat, because then it would have ruined their anniversary. I know she's gonna fucking say it.
Well, of course I feel terrible for the poor woman who was attacked. Don't misunderstand me, please. But we were
Yes!
so lucky it didn't happen on Rolly's beat. It was so close, you see.
Yes! Fucking told you.
Oh, I hadn't realized.
I mean, none of us doubted you, to be fair. Oh yes, that street, Briar Road. That's the boundary between Rolly's beat and the next one.
He fucking moved it!
Both did.
Yeah,
Isn't
she
that
probably...
right, my love?
The thing is, I feel
Yeah.
like she wouldn't be saying this if she knew that they moved it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gotta
Maybe.
be...
She seems pretty stupid.
Kinda. I feel like maybe he was walking ahead for some reason.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I was gonna say maybe the incident happened even earlier, but like, yeah, probably not.
Let's say the last line, Ben.
Oh shit.
Uh-oh.
Wait.
No.
It just isn't that right, Polly. Polly.
Oh, isn't that right, Rolly?
Constable Beat. Huh? Oh, yes, that's right. That's the reason I was helping out with interviewing the occupants of the Garrideb household yesterday. The house is on my beat, you see. That really was cutting it close then.
Constable, I wonder if you could clarify something. If the Garrideb household is on your beat, does that mean that the pavement next to it is as well?
Outside Mr. Garrideb's house? Yes, ma'am. Pavement on that side of the road is upon my beat. I see. I was unaware of that.
Just think, if the woman had been attacked just on the other side of Briar Road, we would never have been able to go for that meal to celebrate our wedding anniversary. But that's the life of a Bobby, after all.
No, I agree that
Extraordinary
it seems too obvious.
Extraordinary people are Bobbies, tirelessly working for the benefit of all Londoners. Do you know what I think? I think it was the good Lord's way of rewarding my Rolly for all his hard work.
What, having a woman get stabbed? But just outside of his beat.
Yeah? How do you think so, my darling?
It must be it, Pat, my love. That must be it.
Have you ever walked past a fire and thought, how can I make this to my benefit? How can this benefit me?
I think perhaps we should make sure that we have the information officially recorded. Record.
Leave it to me, Mr. Naruhodo. I'll take care of it immediately.
And now it's my turn, I think.
Where would you present that?
What exactly does it say now? The pavement...
I think that updated, just like the description.
The pavement where the victim was found lies just outside Constable Beat's beat, the border of which runs down the middle of Railroad. I'm gonna go through these holding the B button to see if a new prompt comes up.
Right.
Hold it!
It's gonna be like you have to go back to the part where she laughed, but then let her be.
Clearly. Oh, didn't need to do that. Fuck. I fucking know I'm right. I just need to figure out how to prove it.
Yeah.
Hold it!
Hearing that sound effect over and over again.
Yeah.
It's funny. This is just how they talk in this universe.
Right. Okay,
The
so again,
first two statements, maybe?
I guess I could press number 1. I've pressed number 2. This is where I got the info from, but I can
Okay.
press number 1.
How can you say that for certain? Very good question, sir. The answer is this. Has the noble founding principles of the force written on it as a reminder to all us policemen of our sworn duty.
He showed us that before, didn't he?
Hey, I can't say I remember. Patrol the streets of London town and uphold the peace of the common man. That's what the job's all about.
We're gonna need both of these pieces of information. We're gonna need to be like, you moved it from your beat because it would be your responsibility according to this.
Yeah. Maybe.
That is why I can stand here today beside my long-suffering wife and tell you Bobby's good for his word. I rub my tired eyes, admittedly. Sir!
Oh, Rolly, you're so manly.
Of course I am, my darling Patricia. Oh, pet.
Oh, Rolly.
This is definitely not getting old. Oh, none of this is what I meant. And how can you say for certain that this case has nothing to do with Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb? Ah, I see, sir. You should have said so earlier, sir. Yes, well, could you answer the question? It was a waste of time, then. Absolutely, sir. I will answer to the fullest of my ability, sir. There's a surprising reason why Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb's domestic dispute can't be related to this case. Before I get into that, sir, just one thing. Yes? Very much like you and all your countrymen to understand the great British institution of Scotland Yard. I hope you'll take back some tales of us London bobbies and how we uphold our guiding principles. I wasn't planning on going back just yet. I've only just arrived here. To that end, sir, I'd be happy to lend you my warrant card for your perusal. I must warn you, you won't be able to get through it without shedding a few tears.
Okay, Kono.
Thank you. I'll try.
Okay.
Okay.